Hello, my name is Valentine Okolo, and I just want to welcome you to my channel. Now, today we're going to be talking about turnaround strategies to help you revive that ailing or struggling or dying business. Now, whether you've been at it for a while, or probably you just need strategies to help your startup to grow, or you're just at that point where you're not hitting the numbers right, probably the sales is not coming in so right, or a lot of things are not adding up in your business, this video is for you. If you're struggling to keep up with your numbers, you're struggling to keep up with sales, or you're struggling to keep up with your operating costs, um, or you just need some strategies that would help you or give you an edge. Probably you're thinking of starting up a business and you're not business inclined, if I can use that word. um, this video is for you. Okay, now before we head right into the details of this video, a couple of things you have to do for me. Please go ahead and hit the subscribe button so that you can keep encouraging me to keep turning out good content like this. And also, please note that because I don't want this video to be too long, I'm going to have to break it into segments because, quite frankly, what we're going to be covering in this video is more than just what um, one video in itself can cover. So I'll have to break it up into segments. You could have segment A, B, C, D, and so on and so forth until we're able to cover what it is that we need to cover. And another thing that also have to state here is that a lot of the information you're going to be seeing in this video is based off of my own experience, also based off of my research over time, trying to help clients who have also had similar problems, struggling with their businesses. And some of the things I'm going to be sharing in this video are stuff that I also use to help my clients in getting their businesses back on track. So, if you've stayed with me up to this point, let's head right into the meat of the matter. So now you have this business, you're struggling with it, and it's about tanking, and you're wondering, what do I have to do to get it around? So basically, there are two ways that I look at it. Um, One, you need to increase income opportunities by streamlining your costs. You want to look at how to improve the use of your organizational assets. You have to look at the way you want to minimize risk, and you want to look at the way you're providing your service. Now, all of what I've talked about just now is what I call policy strategy. And the second angle that we're going to be looking at it from is what I call marketing and distribution strategies. Now, stay with me, forget about the big names. I'm going to make this video as simple as it is for everyone to understand. Okay, we're going to be breaking it down simplistically, if I can use that word, so that everyone can really get a hang of what it is I'm talking about, and it's not going to be difficult for you to understand what I'm talking about at all. And I'm going to also try to keep this video, I don't want to keep it more than 30 minutes so that it's not necessarily too long. And then we'll be taking it up wherever I stop in this video. In the next video, we'll take it up from wherever it is that I stopped off in this video. So now we're going to be starting off with what I call the policy strategies. We'll see how many of it we can take in this video, and then um, we'll continue from the next video. When we finish the policy strategies, then we'll now go into the marketing and distribution strategies. Now, every business needs what I'm going to be talking about right now. If you're going into a business, if you're already in a business, if you're doing your research for a business, if you're starting up your business, you need what I'm talking about right now. Now, the first part of what I'm talking about right now is what I call the policy strategies. And the first thing I want to talk about is what I call a differentiated service delivery, differentiated service delivery. Now, if you are a startup business or you started up for a while and you're struggling, you need to look at the kind of service you're offering or the kind of product you're turning out. Is it generalistic in nature? What do I mean? What you're doing, how different is it from what is already available in the market? How different is it? Are you offering what every other person is offering? Probably there's nothing unique about your offer. Your offer is basically what anyone can go out there to get easily. Now, if that is the case, you may have may be wondering, you may not need to wonder long why your business has been suffering. Now, if you're offering something unique, something that's going to be more difficult to come across elsewhere, people are going to naturally want to come back to that uniqueness. Now, I've used this strategy myself to gain leverage in business. Now, when I'm doing a business and I look at the business and I discover that I have something unique about it, what I do, you can actually charge a higher price for what you're doing, and people are still going to pay for it because you're offering a differentiated service. A differentiated service allows you to offer a unique product or service to a customer. So, in that business that you've been doing or the one you're going to start doing, what makes it unique? What makes it different? What sets it apart from the others? If this strategy is what you can use, in fact, one thing you can do is to offer more for less, or you can try to make it um, bring in something that somebody else is not doing. Okay, for instance, you're opening up an eatery, okay, and it's a new eatery in the market. So before people are going to get to find out how good your food is and how good your price is, you can bring inside things. Probably when they park in, they can also get their cars washed while they eat. Now that's an extra service you're rendering to them, because if they had to go to a car wash, they will have to pay for that service separately. But now they're coming to eat at your place and they're getting their cars washed as well. Wow, that could actually keep people coming back. You understand, for your business. So I'm just giving this as an insight, kind of, not saying it has to be that way. But what I'm trying to say is you need to think outside of the box. You need to think outside of the box. You need to make sure you're offering something unique. You're offering something unique. Okay. So are you offering a specialized service? That is the word. Is your service specialized? Is your product specialized? Is it a product that when they go for something else, they're going to miss that product? They're going to know the difference. The difference is going to be clear, that yes, this has quality. Okay. So for many, offering a differentiated strategy, product or service means more quality. It means more quality. And oftentimes you may see that people may be able to charge a little bit more for this. Customers don't mind actually paying for it if they're actually getting what they want. But now imagine that you're giving out this same quality for lesser price. Okay, that means your price margin is good compared to your competitors. People are going to want to come for it. People are going to want to come back for it. Okay, so I just want to encourage you to try offer a differentiated service. Now, the next thing I'm going to be talking about, of course, and just before I jump into the next thing, I talk a lot about this differentiated service in my book, Winning Crazy Customers. If you've not seen that book before, please hop into Amazon and get Winning Crazy Customers. It gives you all the edge you need to get your customers and to retain them. to get customers and to retain them. Winning crazy customers gives you all of the strategies that you need. It also has a lot of practical um, workarounds. It's practical in nature. It's not just a book, it's practical in nature. So you can hop in, look at winning crazy customers. It also talks a lot about how you offer this differentiated service that we're actually talking about, how you use it to gain trust in the marketplace. Now, the second thing I'm going to be talking about is what I call budgeting and costing strategy. Budgeting and costing strategy. Now, before we talk about your budget and your cost, you need to know if you're running a business or if you're going to run a business, if your business is struggling, have you looked at your budget? Have you looked at your costing strategy? This is something you cannot overlook. Okay, especially if you're a small business, you need to pay attention to the numbers. You need to pay attention to the numbers. What is your costing strategy? What is your budgeting strategy? Now, before we go into the big names, what is a budget? A budget is simply put, is a plan, it's a proposal. Okay, it's a plan, it's a proposal, it's a strategy, it's an estimate of your income, expenditure for a particular period. Period must be stated. So, for instance, if I'm going to do a budget, it could be yearly, could be monthly, could be quarterly, could be weekly, depends on what you're trying to achieve, but it has to be for a time period. Now, that budget has to say this is what I'm expecting and this is what I'm going to spend. Okay, you can't get your business back on track without working on the budget and the costing strategy. You need that to get back on track. So if your business is tanking, then one of the things you need to look at, what am I spending? Where am I spending it? Can I be able to revisit my expenses? Can I drive them possibly down? Okay, because if your business is struggling, you either have to bring down expenses. In fact, not that you either, you do have to find a way to bring down cost and to take up revenue, which we'll be talking about much later. Okay, but right now we're looking at the budget, we're looking at the cost. How are you running your business? Okay, now before we talk about how you're doing that, the costing strategies, we've talked about what a budget is, right? Now we have different kinds of budget. I need to explain this a little bit for those of us who are not accounting inclined. I'm also an accountant by profession. I'm a business analyst by profession. I'm into a lot, but that's for another day, for another video. But for those who are not also accounting inclined, you need to know that there are different kinds of budget. Okay, I know you're used to just drawing up whatever you want to draw up, but in your business, you need to be specific about what it is you're doing. Now, the first kind of budget is what I call the zero based budget. What is a zero based budget? Zero based budget starts from scratch, from zero, and you have to renew it within a period. Okay, what is it that I'm talking about? Your zero based budget has to justify the expense. Now, let me break it down so that you really get it and you're with me on the same page. Now, what a zero based budget means is that if we're doing a budget on a monthly basis or we're doing a budget on a yearly basis, each new year or each new month, your budget starts from zero. And whatever it is that you're going to put in that budget must be justified as something that absolutely needs to be spent. Absolutely needs to be spent. If it doesn't need to be spent, it doesn't need to come into the budget. Now, this is different from the kind of budget where people just have an annual budget or a monthly budget and the same things keep appearing in the budget month in, month out, month in, month out, month in. When you just have your budget and you just keep spending the same things. In a zero based budget, you must justify an item before it comes into the budget. You can't say, okay, because I spent on pencils last month, I'm going to also spend on pencils this month. Okay, doesn't work like that. The next kind of budget I'm going to talk about is what I call the activity based budget. Now, the activity based budget is tied around business activities. For instance, um, you can tie a budget to fueling. Okay, you can tie, um, okay, let's say your vehicles run, right? So it uses fuel. So you can tie it to that activity, vehicle running. You can tie it to any activity at all. What the activity based budget does is that it helps you to know what is actually driving your cost up. What are the cost drivers? What activities drive cost up? Okay, and you need that if you're going to be able to bring your business cost under control. The next kind of budget I'm going to be talking about is what I call the incremental budget. What is the incremental budget? The incremental budget is just like what I talked about the other time when I talked about having the same kind of budget month in, month out, or year in, year out, but with just a minimal increase or decrease based on the percentage. And usually, these percentages come up as a result of, usually, it comes up as a result of inflation. Okay, sometimes you find that inflation goes up, so you do that incremental budget so as to take care of the inflation that you're expecting probably the following year or the following month or whatever. Okay. So the last one, okay, the second to the last one I'm going to talk about is what I call the value proposition budget. The value proposition budget presupposes that any item that you're going to budget for in your business must bring value to that business. If it's not adding value, it doesn't come in. If it's not adding value, you kick it out. Okay. Now stay with me. I'm going somewhere with all of these budgeting systems that I'm explaining. The last one is what I call the operating budget. Okay. And tied to what I call OPEX. You've heard that several times. OPEX simply means operating expense. The operating expense is key for you if you're going to keep your business afloat. What is your operating expense? These are regular expenses that you need to keep running so that's to keep your business afloat. If you're not able to run it, then your business is going to go down. Okay, so what am I talking about? In operating expense, your operating budget, we have fixed cost in it. It will have variable cost in it. For instance, your rent. This you need to keep paying your rent or your lease. You understand? You need to keep paying your staff salaries. You need to keep production if it's a production outfit. You need to keep production running. Raw materials have to be available. Production costs will have to take place. Logistics and distribution costs, those are part of your operating expenses. You need to have that in place in order to keep your business running. And you need to be able to manage your income in such a way that is enough operating expense OPEX to keep your business continually running. The moment you've tinkered or you've started, you're no longer able to manage your operating budget or your operating expense, then your business is going to be in a lot of trouble. Okay, so now that we've looked at it in this way, we need to have what I call an effective costing strategy that operates in such a way that you have a lower cost of production while you keep prices constant, okay, in order to increase profits. Now, my advice for businesses that are going down, struggling businesses or startups, my advice to you would be for you to maintain what I call the zero based budget. Now, I've explained what that was earlier. It is the zero based budget would be my um, advice to you if your business is struggling. Why? Because a zero based budget only allows items that absolutely need to be spent on. You understand? So you need a zero-based budget, and you need to also keep an eye on your operating budget. So you need these two to be able to drive costs down, because you need to drive costs down as low as possible until you come into what we call the equilibrium. Equilibrium is where what we call the break-even point. The break-even point is that point where you you are now starting to make your profits. Okay, because if your business is struggling, it presupposes that you're not making the profits that you need to make, or you're probably not hitting the numbers, you're not having the sales. Of course, we'll talk about all of that when we go into your marketing and distribution strategies, but that will not be for this video, that will be for a subsequent video. We're still talking about the policy strategies in this video. Okay, so if you've been with me all of this while, it is also key for you to have what I call internal control and auditing. Now, this is what I did for a client before, and the client was having issues. By the time we did an audit, we discovered that inventory was not properly being managed. We also discovered that people were tinkering with the business. So you need to have an audit system in place. If you're going to drive your costs down, you need to have an audit system in place. You need to have internal control systems in place. It doesn't matter how small it is. You need to have internal control systems in place. You need to have policies in place that keep costs down. You need to have a strategy for your budget, just as I advised. You need to have internal control systems in place. You need to have an audit system in place. They are not the same thing. They look similar, they work similar ways, but they are different. So if you're doing internal control, that means you have someone, or probably you are going to be the one if your business is that small. But if you have a maybe staff strength of between 1 and 10 and 20, you need an internal control system in place. An internal control system, what it does is that it sets up rules and regulations for everything that needs to be done. If this thing has to be done this way, this is how it has to be done. So and so person needs to sign off on this for it to be done. These are the processes, so that everything runs on processes. And your processes need to be born out of being able to minimize and manage your costs, to bring your costs down. The essence of internal control is to prevent things like theft, to prevent things like losses, to prevent things like errors that could bring the business down, to prevent mistakes that could occur. It could also prevent people from willfully trying to bring down your business. That's why you need those internal control systems in place. Now, when you have your internal control systems in place, the next thing you need to do is to bring in your audit system. The audit system will come in once in a while to check and make sure that the internal control systems that you put in place are actually working. So that's what it does. It makes sure that the internal control systems you put in place are working, and that it's working for the business. And it ensures that the business is doing as it should. If it's not doing as it should, then the auditor would say, this is what we need to do, and this is what we don't need to do. Okay, so these are necessary for your business to thrive. Because I don't want this video to be necessarily long, I think we're going to keep it here at this point. In the next video, we'll be looking at risk management strategies. We'll also be looking at asset management strategies. You need all of that if you're going to get your business back to life. Now, if you've been with me all this while and you've not yet subscribed, please subscribe to this channel. Hit your like button, like this video, subscribe to this channel so that you can keep getting more premium content like this. Till next time, my name remains Valentine. Stay blessed. Thank you.